Welcome back to the Everyone Hates Car Salesman podcast with your host, me, Go For Real 216. This is the podcast where we pop the hood, we open the trunk, and we get down and dirty about the real behind the scenes of the automotive industry. Want to thank you for tuning in today. Want to thank our sponsor, Credit Saint. Are you tired of being held back by bad credit? With Credit Saint, you can take control of your financial future and unlock the doors to way better opportunities. Join the community of satisfied customers. You know, they've got over 14,000 five-star reviews on Google, which, by the way, you can't fake that. Experience the personalized credit repair services that help you rebuild your credit score and achieve your dreams. Call 855-279-6799. That is 855-279-6799. Credit Saint will get you on the road to financial freedom today. You deserve it. You owe it to yourself. Do that. Credit Saint, thank you very much for sponsoring this podcast. I'd also like to thank our guest today. I do my best to bring on entertaining and interesting people in the automotive space and present them to you in a manner that you may not otherwise see. If you like this podcast, and I'm sure you do, please like, share, follow, subscribe. Make a post-it and put it on the bathroom at the rest stop. I don't really care how you get it out there, but get this podcast out there. You can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and YouTube. Any place where you get your podcasts. In all seriousness, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy the show.
All right, so we'll start over, okay?
Love it.
All right. Guys, thanks for coming back to the Everyone Hates Car Salesman podcast with me, Go For Real 216 on socials. I am super excited to have a guest I'm going to introduce here in a second, but I want to, before we get started, if you like this podcast, guys, share, download, subscribe, tell a friend, make up a sign and put it in the bathroom. I don't care how you tell people about this podcast. Just tell people about this podcast because I give you information from the heart. It's all real, behind the scenes type information on the automotive industry. Now, today, I have my friend Austin here. Austin, would you like to say hello?
Yeah. In fact, you mentioned the signs in the bathroom. That's how I heard about the podcast. So thank you whoever did that.
Well, it's rest areas. I like to use rest stops to advertise. Yeah.
No, it's exciting to be on. And I think, you and I met each other a few months ago to think that we'd be sitting here doing a podcast together under these pretenses of, this dealer plate guy thing that I have going on is crazy.
Yeah. So let's hit that real quick. So guys, Austin not only is a dear friend of mine through a meeting, through TikTok and social media, really.
Yeah.
But he has also become quite a little creator, guys. He is on what I would call a meteoric rise in the social media space right now. So I want to get into that. Austin is what I consider an industry expert on what's called fixed operations. And Austin, give us the 5-second description and definition of fixed operations for them who don't know.
Yeah, fixed operations, so that's your service and parts departments. So anything from oil changes, recalls to wholesale parts. They call it fixed because it should be a little bit more stable than what is the variable department, which is what you're more familiar with sales and finance. So, this department is definitely more consistent on a month-to-month basis, or should be at least, with profitability and how it supports the dealership and customer base.
Yeah, so, and man, there's a lot to unpack. I want to get into that. Not only because I know you, because you're a buddy of mine, but, you're an interesting guy. I also, by the way, I want to put out here, I will never again put a better looking guest on my podcast ever again, because as I'm looking at this screen right now, my head is next to Austin's, and I'm like, if I was of the other gender and I was going to pick someone to go home with, I'm a little bit upset right now. I'm going to be out there. I mean, I might get the stragglers. I might pick up your scraps, bro. But I mean, it is what it is. I remember when I used to be handsome. Anyhow, I want to talk a little bit about you just because I think you have you're an interesting guy, like I said. So
yeah,
tell us about your journey. I mean, how'd you get where you are today, if you don't mind?
Yeah, so man, it kind of be like a tell-all, I guess, of who dealer play guy is. It's funny because when I start posting videos, people are like, what are you? Who are you? Like, are you an advisor? Are you a GM? Are you fixed ops director? But yeah, I think my journey, before the car business, what really started, I went to college. I actually played golf in college on a college golf team. And why that's important is because at that point I met Trey Rohrman, who is a grandson of Mr. Rohrman, who, founded the Rohrman Automotive Group. That's who I work for now. And so, I met Trey back in college. After I graduated, my path went a different way. I actually went into accounting. So that's what my degree is in. I was actually in financial reporting and, kind of got bored with it. got a little bit my foot in the door with sales. And then, from there, Trey every year was like, dude, you need to come out and sell cars for me. Come out and sell cars for me. Come out and sell cars for me. And so I finally, my wife and I had been married for like a year. We were looking for what's next. And I decided, fine, we're going to pick our lives up, move out, and I'm going to sell cars. And so there I was. First day, I started on my birthday for a $400 a week draw. And I was living the dream, baby. So 6 months as a car salesman, I was never in the draw. I was salesman a month, my first full month, which was March of that year. Ended up leading a BDC team, new car manager, finance manager. And then they had this really crazy idea. I'm probably the only person ever to do this. I went to bed a finance manager and I woke up a service manager the next morning.
That's pretty cool. It's like an overnight. You went from a snail to a grasshopper or whatever that. No, yeah. What is that? A butterfly.
Just think about those two roles and how different they are. I think it speaks to the people that I work for. That obviously it's like, hey, we're going to give you opportunities that maybe we shouldn't, right? And be innovative and think outside the box. But yeah, so from there, I was a service manager of a Toyota store for a couple years. And then we had some success there and worked my way into a fixed operations role here. So I manage all of that as well as, wife and 3 kids at home. So
yeah,
that's the short summary of
which
where we're at
job's harder. Which job's harder, the day job or the night job?
Oh, man.
She's going to see this. She's going to see this.
It's hard to pick, dude. Some days, they're both rewarding in their own ways, but yeah, the kids, man. I mean, that's why we do it, right? And,
dude, there's nothing else on the planet. And so I wanna back up a little bit. So you work with the Roman Auto Group, who I am intimately familiar with. I had a very short stint with the Roman Auto Group that I have zero regrets doing, and they are great people. The guys with the last name Roman in that group that I had any interaction with were absolute gentlemen. Absolute gentlemen. But I want to dive back a little bit. Tell me about the selling cars. Tell me what you hated. What did you like? Give me some,
Man, I love, literally to this day, I've told this to a couple people. I was like, man, if this content thing really takes off, I would love to just quit what I'm doing, go sell cars and make content. That just seems like a dream to me. I still to this day love selling cars. I was just talking to a customer yesterday. He was in for service and I was just sitting down talking to him. His car has 100,000 miles on it. I'm like, dude, I've been out of sales too long. I've sold this guy 7 cars. He should be out of this thing every year. So trying to work a car deal. But man, that first day in sales, it's like, what do I expect? It's this $400 draw, which I know a lot of dealerships don't do that anymore. Nowadays, it's more salary based. But, for me, it was I just love taking care of people and spending time with people. And, it was cool to be able to show them and get them excited about the different cars. And then just, hey, how is that car actually going to fit into their lifestyle? Because I believe that, the car and transportation is such a big part of someone's lifestyle. I mean, think about a house, right? And then what do you have? A car. Like the car gets you from point A to point B to pay your bills. And it is a huge purchase. And so, be able to walk people through, hey, what options do you need? What model do you need? Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? And I felt like I was really building those relationships through car sales. And it's a ton of fun too, right?
It really is. And, I think we've even had this conversation. I mean, I think you would be an absolute problem in sales. I think you would just crush it. You would kill everybody in the sales floor, in my opinion. I mean, I think that's due to your personality. I'm not going to talk about the being handsome thing ever again, but also that you do have a genuine interest in people when you're talking to them. I think that comes through really well. I remember when we first met, I was like, I mean, this, he could sell whatever he wants. I mean, just because, you look people in the eye, you know what I mean? And you have a good personality and definitely a good sense of humor. So I want to go push forward a little bit. You go into fixed ops. I mean, you're like a fish out of water. You said you went to bed as a finance person, finance manager. Okay. Yep. Woke up a service manager.
Yeah. 100%. I'm running 1,600 a copy, over 50% VSC, my,
you still remember your numbers. I love that you still remember your numbers.
I'll tell you what I loved was special finance. So here's what I did. I got to tell this really quick. I digress, but this is one of my proudest moments of my career. So I created back, we had 5 stores in Lafayette. They're all within 10 minutes of each other, if that. And so what I did, I found a niche in special finance because, a customer would come in and it was like, hey, we can't quite get them approved on any cars that we have in inventory. Let's look at someone else's inventory. So I wanted to make that process faster. nerd me, and I won't bore you too much with this.
Oh, you're good.
I downloaded all the inventory into an Excel sheet. So I would be able to put in like the customer's credit scores and some of the different things. And I could show which cars within the group, had the best loan to value, predict kind of what we could get on the front end, back end, and make the deals the most profitable, what they fit in. So then I'd be like, you can't buy these cars, but here's 2 options at our other stores. Do you like either of these? Let's go get them and find them, And so
you were doing now a lot of finance systems do that, but it sounds like you might have been ahead of the curve. Now I know there are some that do that now.
So it was like Capital One has a deal navigator.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was similar to that, but it was literally just a spreadsheet that I created. So I downloaded the inventory out of Viato and did that. So that was super fun. But I just didn't get any enjoyment out of the finance manager role because it's such an individual contributor role. So like we talk a lot in management about getting the right seat on the bus for people. Like it just wasn't the right seat on the bus for me.
Yeah.
I did okay. Again, the special finance was more of a strategic, I'm solving a problem, which is why I did well. So, a couple of the guys, Zach, and Trey were like, have you ever thought about being a service manager?
Yeah.
Like, no, I've never actually thought about that. And so we talked about it a little bit more like, man, this makes sense. I have a background working at country clubs. Just everything I've done has always been like customer service related. And I think the service drive is the perfect blend of customer service and sales. You have to do both at the same time really well. And so it just made sense. And it was
that's awesome, man. Dude, that's awesome.
A tough transition.
And I think you would have been great, honestly, Austin, and I'm not just saying this because you're on my podcast. You would have been great at anything. I mean, you would have been a top-flight finance person. You would have been a top-flight manager, sales manager, whatever. But the fact that you even went and did that spreadsheet and that you look at the fixed ops situation the way it is, blending the sales and customer service, lets me know that you were probably going to hit a home run anywhere. So congrats to you. When you look at your position now as a fixed ops director, lots of people under you, lots of customer interaction. But what would you say is a common misconception about a fixed ops director such as yourself? What's a misconception?
I think, I don't know that there are really any conceptions. Is that the right way to put it? Like, I don't know if people really have any idea about like what this role is necessarily, and so I don't, just on the surface, it's a lot. And I think I'm still trying to define, what the role is. For me, it's, leadership, managing people. Really, I don't do any of the fun stuff. Like all the problems roll up to me. All the customer interactions I have right now are typically not good.
Yeah.
I'm stepping in when there's,
you're really, the guy they bring them to when they don't know what to do anymore. Like
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Right.
Yeah.
No, but it's still a fun role, support the group and the community in that way.
Well, so, I mean, a misconception about a fixed ops director, might be something like, that you don't have to deal with, well, like you just said, personnel issues because you got a bunch of people kind of, guarding the gate for you. You know what I mean? But I think that's absolutely inaccurate. You guys really are the backstop and the go-to to save the day.
Or it could be, well, you don't talk to customers like we do. It's like, well, I do, but I never talk to the happy ones.
Right. Dude, my whole day is just pissed off people. Like, that's awesome. Hey, and then you go home and you're like, oh my God, and she's mad at me too because I said this. Like, how does that work out for you?
That's why, like, if someone sends me a DM, on like one of my posts, I'm like, this is awesome. They love my post. Like, this is the first positive thing I've heard today.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. So how is it harder? I know what it was like in sales and as a manager or general manager and owner or whatever. I know how hard it was for me to turn that off and go home and be home person, home shot. Is that tough for you?
Dude, it's so hard. Like it's so hard. And that's something I've really struggled with over my career. I'm trying to dial that in. I'm trying to get this year, actually, I'm really trying to focus on my schedule. And so, here's my schedule for in the morning for me time. Here's my schedule for work time. And then outside of these hours, even like last year on vacations, I'm like, man, I still have my phone. I pick it up. I do the emails. Like this year I've committed. I get these vacation days. I'm cutting it off. Like that's it.
Awesome. Good for you.
Finding those little moments, like I take my kids to school every morning. Like I get them ready and take them to school every morning. And then I come home for dinner every night, which is one of the opportunities I have because I don't have stores that are super spread out. And so even just those little moments, those add up over time. And
good for you. So you're learning how you want to tell everybody how old you're? How old are you?
30. Hang on, I got to think about it. 36.
Okay. So in your mid 30s, you're learning still how to shut that off. Right. And go home and just be Austin. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I don't think and this is great advice for anybody out there. Like, I think no matter what role you're in, like, you're never going to conquer it. No matter what you're doing, you're never going to conquer it. There's always something to learn. There's always something to improve on, and especially when you're trying to juggle all these things, which, everybody out there has multiple priorities that they're juggling. It's like, how do you determine what takes your time when and how? And, if someone has that perfected, I would love, reach out to me. Let me know.
It's tough, man. I don't know anybody, even uber successful people that I know, that have made millions and millions of dollars still struggle. And when we talk and they're like, man, I still, I don't spend enough time with my kids or my wife or, whatever. It's hard to shut up. So give me a glimpse in the future in fixed ops. And that's not my arena. So I'm nowhere near an expert. So what trends or changes are you seeing right now in the fixed ops part?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple things. I think there's electric vehicles, right? So people are like, what is that going to do to the service department? And for dealerships especially, it's the tire game because, a couple things that we're going to have with electric vehicles from the manufacturer, it's going to be very specific that we're going to have to work on them very specifically because we have the computers and they push the over-the-air updates. And since we're a manufacturer representative, like we get those that other people won't, because we're a franchise. There is some legislation in the Northeast. They're trying to pass, it's called a Right to Repair Act. In fact, I think they have in some states to saying that just because you're not a franchise service center, you should still have access to the same equipment and same tools and same abilities to work on these cars, which, hey, I 100% support it. But it's going to be really interesting to see what it does to the market. Like, I'm all for free market and all that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm willing to, I'll just outwork you or do better than you. I mean, we can all, no, I get it. Yeah, you have the same attitude in the fixed ops arena that I do in the front. I just believe that I'll just do it better than you. So whatever. I mean, now, am I right all the time? I don't know about that, but that's the attitude to have, right? Because it is getting so competitive. Even in the back end, man, the fixed ops, it's crazy how quick everything is changing. So what is your biggest challenge, I guess, on a daily basis? What's your what's the one or two things when you're driving in, you're driving in the morning, you're doing your hair and, whatever. And I know you do your hair in the car and you're driving in the morning. What is constantly on your mind? Like, I gotta be on this today.
Yeah. I mean, I think overall it's just like competing because we have tons of competition with aftermarkets around us. Kind of finish my last thought with the tires, especially with EV vehicles, but there's so many of these little tire shops that are popping up now. EV vehicles go through tires a lot quicker. And so the more adopted EV vehicles are, the more tires there are going to need to be replaced. And so that's what I constantly think about. Like, is our staff prepared to compete with the staff at other stores? Is our pricing to compete with other stores? Like we've done some pretty cool deals. We have a tire deal that we have that directly with our group. And so we're able to buy tires directly from manufacturers. Not a lot of dealer groups are doing that, not letting our secret out necessarily, but anything we can do to lower our costs, because then we can provide it at a more competitive price to the customer, opens us up for those options, and then just training on how do we have a better customer experience? How do we compete with what they're doing? How do we become more professional? How do we get the oil changes done? Not necessarily quicker, but how do we build more value in that experience than someone down the street is doing?
Yeah. So in the morning when you're driving in, it's how do I make sure I stay ahead of everybody else? And is my team prepared for what's coming down the pike? And I think if you start your day off with those two things, I can't imagine that there's a whole lot else that won't kind of take care of itself if you focus that way. So I think that's good. What's a pivotal moment that shaped your career? I mean, other than, you might already told me. I went to bed, I woke up. You know what I mean? I mean, that might be it, right?
Yeah, so I'll go back probably, because it's a little bit more recent. I'll go back maybe, I think it was like a year and a half ago. So we had our Toyota store here, which is the biggest store that I oversee. We had a manager vacancy. And I just was at my wit's end, like, we're in kind of a weird market because we're an hour north of Indianapolis, which is a huge metro area. We're an hour and a half south of Chicago, which is a huge metro area. And so, yeah, we have a pretty sizable town. Purdue University is here. There's just not a super deep talent pool of people who have service manager experience or service manager background. So I was at rock bottom and I said, you know what? Why don't I just post something on my LinkedIn? So I'd kind of gotten a little bit more with LinkedIn. Logan and I recorded this video. I had an idea to do this cribs video, which is still out there on the internet somewhere. It's awful. I look back on it, I'm like, this is
I'm going to go find it. Yeah.
But I believe, I'll go back, I think I got 12 resumes out of that people
Really?
had just seen it on the internet and just emailed me their resumes. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
So that was kind of when all of this social started happening with some of our accounts. And then, I didn't do my personal page until just a couple months ago, but 3 or 4 months ago. But yeah, that was I would say that was the pivotal moment when I realized that, hey, this network on social media, if you build it the right way, you can get stuff out of it. You can provide value there and find value there.
You can sell cars there. You can buy cars there. You can find employees. I mean, you can do so much. And I'll tell you, I want to get into the social media a little bit, and I know that's near and dear to your heart because I know you really enjoy it.
Yeah,
and it
fun.
comes out in your content. I can see it in your content that you are having a blast when when you got that camera on, then you're making that video, bro. I can tell that you are in your zone. There's nowhere else you'd rather be at that point in time. So let's talk a little bit about social media. So TikTok is your biggest platform right now at this point.
That's what's crazy. Instagram now.
Is it really? I did not know.
No, I just passed it for its turn of the year. Yeah. I have 1,000 more followers on Instagram than I do TikTok.
Get out of here. Good for
crazy.
you. That is kind of crazy. But
TikTok's the one that I make money on TikTok. I don't make money on those.
Yeah. That's the only one we care about, man. Instagram, dude, I got 60,000 followers on Instagram. I don't make anything. I mean, it's like they send me this little remittance thing. All I see is it's like $1 or something. I'm like, whatever, keep it. I don't care. You know what I mean?
If we're being real and transparent, the only thing that matters is you have 10,000 on TikTok and you make minute-long videos. That's all that matters.
That's it. As long if you do nothing else all day, right, do that right, and you'll make some money. So tell me about that. So tell me, I'd like to know what prompted you to get started posting, and then, how's it going now?
All right, so I got two stories. So the first one is, I'm associated with Roman Toyota, so that is one of my stores that I help oversee. And so we had this, we had the whole beef with Russ, and then he came out and he did a social media training, while he was out, and it was great, and you got to meet him.
I can't get through a podcast without somebody saying the word Russ. It bugs
I know.
Go ahead.
So that was in July we did that. And then, we ended up, Ryan Roman wanted to do another training up in Chicago with Russ for the Chicago stores because they weren't able to make it down, for the other one. It's like, all right, cool. So we'll put it together. So it was maybe 3 weeks before that training. I just thought to myself, man, it would be really cool if I had my own TikTok account and I got to make a video with Russ when we were at Schaumburg Honda. That'd be cool. And then hearing that you were going to be up there, Javon was going to be there, Tommy was talking about being there. So I was like, that'd be kind of cool to not many people have an opportunity, so I don't want to squander it. So I post 2 parts department videos. They do pretty good. I'm like, this is interesting. One night I remember posting a bunch of memes, thinking I just need to get stuff on my account.
Yeah.
And then it happened. It was the video was my Lube Tech interview video. And it went it went over 1 million. And I'm just sitting here oh my gosh, you're looking at your phone, you have that moment. So truthfully, the reason I started is because I want to do a video with Russ and Javon and you and get at that grand opening. So then here's the second part of the story. So Russ had a car show. Do you remember seeing stuff about his car show?
Yeah.
And so he goes, hey, come out to my car show. I'm like, oh, man, I don't know. I got the wife and the kids. This is such a short notice. It's such a long drive. The flights are expensive, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So he's like, come on, man. Come on. I was like, all right, let me see if I'll find a way to make it. So I knew I was well, if I go out there, I'm going to do a couple of videos with him. I was at 9,000 followers at the time. So I'm 10K is your golden number. So I tell this is my first time I'm ever telling this story in public.
Okay, yeah, I like it.
My wife has tickets to the Taylor Swift concert the same night that the car show is 6 hours away. I'm the one that's supposed to drive them down there, drop them off for the concert, stay, and whatever. So with a week and a half notice, I'm like, hey, babe, I want to go to this car show in Pennsylvania. She goes, no, you're not. She's like, well, the hotels are sold out. You can't get a hotel. So I say this. I go, babe, if I do this, I think I get 10,000 followers. And I promise you, the first money that I make on social media, I will buy you a Louis Vuitton purse. Because she's always wanted one. I'm like, I'm never going to spend my money, our money that I make with a real job on a Louis Vuitton purse. Not thinking, there's ever any chance that I'm going to get monetized or make, $2,000, $3,000, whatever it is off
right.
TikTok.
Right.
So anyway, we worked out. I went to the car show, came back, 10,000 followers, and started making money. So I do owe her a Louis Vuitton purse here in the near future when I
Wait, you haven't bought it yet?
when I reach that milestone. I just haven't. I haven't.
Is she on you?
I'm going to surprise her. No, I told her I'm going to surprise her. She doesn't
You're
know.
like, honey, it's not okay. They don't monetize now until 50K, honey. I'm sorry.
I still have, I still have to earn that money, through
I know. I get it. I love it. That's a great story, bro. Thanks for telling me that. That's a good story.
That's the first time I've told it publicly. So I made a service manager video too. It'll make more sense. I did one with the huddle. It was like, I'm trying to buy my wife a Louis Vuitton purse. Like, quit stealing all the scrap metal.
Yeah. Dude, I'll tell you what, the content that you fire off, you're very creative, bro. And I've told you that before. You're very creative. And how do you come up with content? Let's talk about content. There's somebody out there watching this right now who's like, I want to be like dealer plate guy, and they're in fixed ops. Where do you get the content ideas? Is it literally just you're brainstorming all day, or?
That's the thing that's been nice. I think this has been an outlet for my creativity. Like, I honestly, starting a social media account has been so good for me just because it's kept me engaged in thinking of these ideas. And what I've realized through it doesn't necessarily have to be these wild ideas, because it's not really the wild ideas that do super great. It's the things that are really relatable. And, so it maybe doesn't have to be all these out-of-pocket ideas. Like one of the craziest videos I did was, this customer pulls in the service drive and he's pissed because he's like, don't touch any of the settings on my car. I don't want my seat touched. I don't want my steering wheel touched. And like, for some reason, that video does like over 1 million views on all the platforms. And just because it's so relatable, because A, a customer has always taken their car in for service and had their settings changed and been mad about it. And B, anyone working in service has gotten in a car where like their knees are jammed or they hit their head on like the top of the door. So it's like, those are the things you just have to, when you notice them, you just got to write it down. And so I have, the notes on my phone. I know a lot of creators do. It's like, you just got to keep a running list.
I would tell you this, though. I think that the fixed ops department also, I almost think that there's more possibility for creativity and for content than like sales. I mean, because I think there's more moving parts back there.
Yeah.
Look what I did there. Yeah. No, I do, though. I think that, and you're dealing with different issues too. Like you're dealing with people's safety. I mean, you're dealing with, resale value of the car if something isn't replaced or is replaced. So I think that there's a lot of, but regardless, your creativity, sometimes I watch your videos, I'm like, why would he think that? Like, why would he even think of that? That was funny.
And it's like, how did he think of that? Well, it's probably happened to him. So like anybody that's listening, you see any of my videos, like, most of them, if not all of them, have happened to me.
Yeah.
So that's the craziest part.
So now you're 36. Let's rewind. I'd like to go back. Let's go back to 10. So 26 years ago. So you're going to meet 10-year-old Austin. What would you say to him today, knowing what you know as a 36-year-old successful professional? What would you tell 10-year-old Austin?
Before I tell you that, when I was 10 years old, this is my biggest memory. I went to the Chicago Bulls game, saw Michael Jordan play in person against the Seattle Supersonics. Yeah. At Allen Fieldhouse in Kansas. So it was super cool. I'll never forget that.
Wow.
So anyway, I would say go to that Bulls game, dude. Just go to the Bulls game.
Go to the game.
No, 10-year-old me, man, I think that, I've been too comfortable too many times in my life and not taking that risk. And like, I have had a lot of good ideas. My friends and I used to have a idea board in our apartment and we would write business ideas on it. And like, we never started a business because of it. And I just look back at that, like, if I go back to 10-year-old me is like, don't be afraid to start that business. Like, don't be afraid to do something crazy. You have these ideas, like execute on them. Because I think that's a lot of times in my life what is not necessarily regret, but what I feel like, it has held me back to some extent. It's like, you have a great idea, just do it.
So that's interesting. So I want to stay on that for a minute. Is it something in your DNA or is it a real life situation? What stops you? Because I think that you would be an amazing entrepreneur. What is it that holds you back?
I'm just like, by nature, I think I'm just extremely conservative. You got to think about, I was an accountant by trade, and so there's some accountants that are great entrepreneurs, like, because you understand the nuts and bolts of the business. But like, for me, it's taking that first step. And you wouldn't believe right now, even still, I get nervous, like right before we record a video. But like, once I get into it, I'm going. I'm going.
Yeah.
Even right before I post a video, like I watch it 7 or 8 times before I post it because I'm like, I don't want to make a mistake. So I think that's what it is like I'm conservative and I have this fear sometimes of making a mistake.
Yeah.
But then it's like, man, as you grow up, as you make mistakes, you learn. That's how you learn is through mistakes. Like you don't learn through the wins a lot of times, and
yeah. And, I think it's important, and now I'm older than you. So it, took me a long time to realize this too. Cause we all have some self-doubt, and so now I just have something in my DNA that's like, you know what I mean? Let's go. I'll figure it out, But, it wasn't always like that. And I think it's important to look back at your history. And if I look back at yours, I would tell 10-year-old officers to trust yourself because the decisions that you have made, I think they've been fairly positive. I think things kind of worked out for you. You know what I mean? So I think trusting yourself a little bit maybe is something that a lot of people struggle with. But, I'm going to go on record here now. I mean, I think you'd be an amazing entrepreneur, which we've talked about before. If you were going to be an entrepreneur, what would it do? What would you do? What would it be?
Probably dealer play guy.
Just making TikToks, right?
No, I mean, I think, I think honestly, this platform kind of has opened me up to, you talk about it like creativity, being an outlet for my creativity. Like, where can I push this? How far can I go? What kind of positive impact can I make with this? Because honestly, I never asked for any of this. I never thought this would happen. But now I'm like, man, now that it is happening and it seems like it's a little out of my control that it is happening, like, how am I going to steward this platform and what it seems to mean to people that, reach out to me is like, finally, we have somebody like making us laugh over fixed ops content or whatever it is. Like, how can I impact like the trades as a whole? How can I, again, just bring joy to people? Like, I don't know. I think that's probably what it is. I never really do anything necessarily for the money. It's just kind of, I guess it's nice, obviously, but
it's nice. But hey, you wake up, your PayPal's a little heavier. You're like, okay, what I mean, whatever it is.
But knowing like, man, you post a dumb video that 10,000 people liked. So, like that touched 10,000 people. Like they thought it was funny enough or like it put a smile on their face. And that still to this day blows my mind.
It kind of gives me goosebumps a little bit sometimes, honestly. While you're talking about it, I'm like, man, I know that feeling. And that doesn't even count often the people that just didn't hit the like button, but they did actually like it and enjoy it.
Probably one of the coolest things that's happened to me so far with social media. I posted a video as a service manager versus it was a typical service manager versus a lazy one. The video did over 5 million across all the platforms. And in the comments was so cool because people were shouting out their managers that were super chill. It was like, shout out to so-and-so from this BMW dealership. He was so chill. I miss him so much. And like, how many likes you have? I mean, but it was like, whoa, that was so cool. So that's kind of what I talk about like when you build a platform like this or are building a platform, I never expected to have this sort of like a responsibility almost to, not that people need my content, but, a responsibility to like kind of draw that out and hear those stories and bring up those memories for people. Of great leaders they had or good experiences they had.
Yeah, it's almost like, in my mind, I've equated, I don't think I've ever voiced this before, but it's almost a little bit like an entertainer, like a musician, or you could say an actor. There's something that you're resonating with people, something about you that resonates with people. So now you have almost an obligation, like, well, I'm blessed with this gift if I'm a musician. I almost have an obligation to keep giving it to the people. You know what I mean? And the same, if you can make somebody laugh on their device, if you can do that and bring 30 seconds of joy to somebody, it's almost like, how do you not do that? You know what I mean? How do you, not?
Well, I was having a conversation with somebody the other day because they're kind of like a mentor of mine to some extent. He's like, do you feel like you're getting obsessed with like the views and this account and everything? Like, do you feel like it's impacting you in a negative way? I was like, I'll be honest with you where I'm at right now with it. I could quit Dealer Play Guy, never post another video, and I would probably like be better off. Just the fact that like I don't have to do it anymore. But it's not because of the likes and the views. Like I'm just so detached from it, I guess, or I'm so just like, well, I haven't asked for this. I didn't think it would ever come to this, but I still enjoy it. I'm going to keep pressing on because it seems like other people are enjoying it too. And
for sure.
We'll see what it turns into. It'll be fun.
Well, I'm glad that you have the ability to keep that in perspective because, I tell people this all the time, dude, it's a job. once you start getting 100, 200,000 followers, it's a second job.
I didn't ask for this second job. I have enough going on. We already talked about work-life balance. Like now I have to schedule my content times. I have to schedule my editing times. I have to, it is a second job. That's why I say I could quit it and be better off. Like,
but I do think it's the best side hustle on the planet. I mean, I really do.
100%.
Now, have you get noticed in public yet?
I have a couple times. The funny one the other day, there was one of the local dealerships in town called into our one of our parts departments and was asked for a part, and they're like, "Hey, we got to ask you while we have you on the phone. Is Dealer Play Guy work for you guys?"
Was it you on the phone? Was it you on the phone?
No, it wasn't me. It was one of our admins, and I was just like, "Oh my word!" Because she told me about it. She's like, so funny, but it is kind of cool too because people it's almost like they're proud to work with me, which is really weird. Like it's just this is all such a weird thing.
It is. It's like probably fractional in comparison. Like it's like a little slice of what it's like to be a celebrity, I think.
And I hope this doesn't come off the wrong way on the podcast. Like I think maybe people would be interested in just hearing about it from the experience. It was like
no, because people
weird.
ask me all the time. No, the questions I'm asking you are the ones I get asked all the time. Hey, how is it when you get noticed in public? Well, I don't know. It's weird. You know what I mean? Honestly, what's it like to have to post all those videos? It's like a second job. You know what I mean? Your answers are pretty similar to what mine are. What's something that coworkers, maybe people that think they know you that may not know about you? Is there anything? Is there a hidden? I mean, doesn't have to be bad or ugly or you know what I mean? Something we don't know about.
Man, I feel like I'm extremely transparent. I think one of the things they may not know, I'm a beekeeper, so I have 3 beehives.
Why does that in the weird? No, I'm going to be honest with you. The first, when you said that, well, I thought you were kidding. And then I was like, that's weird. And then I was like, wait, why am I not surprised?
Wait, it actually makes sense.
Yeah, why am I not surprised? I immediately put that little mask on you, the thing, you know what I mean? And I was like, oh yeah, I see it. Yeah, you're a beekeeper. Yeah. Of course you are.
Yes. Yeah, so I'm going in my 3rd year with bees. So that's kind of cool. I actually caught a swarm at our Toyota dealership last April. It was wild. I was sitting in my office, someone came up, there's a swarm of bees outside. I'm like, wait. I ran home and got my equipment and came back and I got them and I don't know.
Everybody else is running away. You're running to it.
Yeah, exactly. No, it was cool.
That's great. I didn't know that. That's super cool, dude.
Man, and bees are way more intricate and just the way that they were designed, it's incredible just what they do. And it's way more complicated than the car business, that's for sure. But the one thing I have learned with beekeeping, especially getting them through the winter, because that's one of the biggest things is getting them through the winter with resources and everything else. And so guys can literally do everything by the book and they don't survive. You could have another guy just right down the street that literally does nothing to them and they survive. So it's you just can't, you can do as much as you want or as little as you want. And I feel like that kind of describes management to some extent.
I get it. I know guys that do nothing and they're profitable. Everything's great. I love it. That's a great analogy.
There's so many parallels between this, beekeeping and leadership, but no, it's fun. I don't really sell the honey. I did some honey bourbon this year that I sold to some of my friends.
Right on.
So that was kind of cool.
Right. But now can I ask you a question? And maybe you have an answer, maybe you haven't thought about it. Why is that not on TikTok?
So if you really scroll way back into my TikTok, that was my first 2 videos ever posted. I posted one of and it was honestly, if I could go back and do it now, it would be a viral video because I understand how to do it. I had taken they're called honey supers. They go on the top of the hive. That's what the bees store the honey in.
Okay.
So I had pulled the frames out of there. I'd gotten all the honey out of it and I had just put those back in my garage. Didn't realize that you're supposed to put them back on the beehives because the bees clean them up because there's still a little residual honey and different things like that. I put them in my garage. My wife leaves the house and leaves the garage door open. Dude, I have hundreds of thousands of bees in my garage. Now, it's not a big deal because they go back to their hive at night. So it's whatever. You just kind of stay away from your garage, you'll be fine. But oh man, I need to film a video for TikTok. It was maybe the second TikTok video I'd ever posted before I named the account Dealer Play Guy even. But I'm like, man, if I could, in fact, I could create that on purpose next year. I think I might just to create a viral video. So you can put a pin in this moment because then I can go back and I'll actually do it.
Yeah, and then somehow you frame the bees as like your employees that serve it in service or something like that. I mean, there's definitely.
I mean, I see the video
there.
like something really bad happened. I have a swarm of bees in my garage, and they just turn it around and there's hundreds of thousands of bees. It is wild.
That would scare the living daylights out of me. I'm just going over. I don't care. I'm on record saying that would scare the daylights out of me.
But if you're in a suit, you're like invincible. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Your guy Zach, he's your GM at the store that you work at. You guys are pretty close.
Yeah, we're super close. So I actually coached him in college. So I went back and coached the golf team.
Okay,
I coached him for a semester in college, told him to come to Toyota and work for Trey. And then he ended up using that against me a couple years later and said, well, you sent me here and I'm doing really well. So why don't you come work with us too? So yeah, we're super close. He runs the Toyota store. I have a couple other stores that I'm involved with, just with my role, but we talk a lot. We obviously have the podcast together and
I love
some of the other stuff. So
it's great.
He started a TikTok account after we talked, but I think there's some recent events have caused him to reconsider that. And I think he deleted it.
Did he really? Why is he such a baby? What is wrong with that guy? What do you think he's going to get dragged into something or whatever?
Dude, I don't know. I think he just got scared.
He got scared. That's great, dude.
Got scared.
Oh my God. Somebody's going to say something about me. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Well, here, the difference is he cares about that. Like about, is somebody going to say something? I don't give a shit. You, I think, maybe are in the middle. You would prefer them not to say anything about you, but if they do, you're like, whatever.
Absolutely.
I mean?
Absolutely.
I zero give it. You know what I mean? For my end, I don't care. Thank God, Jesus Christ. Thank God, because if I did, I would be, thank God I had thick skin. But the car business does do that to you.
Yeah, that is true.
So, well, cool, man. Well, if people want to know more about fixed operations, are you the type of guy that, are you willing to have conversations with people? Somebody says, hey, I'm a new fixed ops manager. I need a little bit of coaching or training, or can conversations like those happen for you?
Yeah, 100%. In fact, that's one of the things I've loved about social media is like the people take the first step to like DM me and reach out. And, honestly, I don't know how it is for you because you have more followers, but like, I don't really get that many messages to where it's like so overwhelming that I can't respond to them. So yeah, I respond to every single one of them as long as it's serious. Like, you can tell some of the ones that aren't, but I love when people reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help people along the way, kind of give back to people who have helped me, along the way. And, I may not be able to tell you what your trade's worth necessarily. I mean, I could because I still have access to Viato, but, my expertise would be more in like, leadership management, career advice, stuff like that. So yeah, I'd feel free. Anybody could reach out. It's easier to find me nowadays too. So
I could see that in your future. Definitely a coaching, mentor, training vibe. Which would be
fun.
So, I think that would be fun. So how would they get a hold of you? Somebody says, I'm going to get a hold of that guy because he looks like he smells good on camera. How would they get a hold of you? How do they, socially, how do they get you? At Dealerplay Guy, tell me.
Dealerplayguy.com if you want to do it that way. Dealerplayguy@gmail.com.
Sorry, it sounded like you have your own website. I'm sorry, what did you say?
I do. So I did this as a joke too, because I was like, I'm just obsessed with, people keep telling me how good the name is. And so like,
it's solid.
I'm scared that like people are going to buy it. So I got basically everything on every platform, Dealer Plate Guy. And then I have started dealerplateguy.com, which if you go to it, I did everything with ChatGPT. So I bought the domain with GoDaddy, and then I did the HTML coding with ChatGPT. And so, everything you see on the website, I coded personally through ChatGPT. I know nothing about HTML code. ChatGPT is amazing. So
it is. It's the best thing ever. So they can add you a Dealer Plate Guy on is that Facebook too? I know your Instagram and TikTok.
I have a Facebook too, yeah. So Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Instagram and TikTok are probably the easiest ones to get a hold of me on. And then a dealerplateguy@gmail.com if they want to do that.
That's awesome. So cool. So if anybody out there wants to know anything about fixed ops, I can tell you I've had conversations with Austin where he is talking about things that sound Greek to me. And I've been in the car business for 25 years. So if you have a question about fixed ops, I think that we are looking at the guy right now. So reach out to him at Dealer Plate Guy. Gave you his email, gave you his website. I didn't know he was a full-fledged corporation already, but that's amazing. But no, that's really, really...
LLC coming too. That was like a bucket list item for me. I should have that all done probably when you post this podcast.
Yeah, right, for sure. That's okay. I have LLCs. I mean, yeah. But no, that's super cool, man. Well, Austin, this is heartfelt. This isn't for the camera. I'm super glad we're friends. I mean, you're just an amazingly interesting guy. You're super funny. And I think, there will be a day where you'll pass me with followers. Again, because I don't give a shit, but also because I think your content is more engaging than most on there. So it's just a matter of time for you, brother, where I could see there being a day where Dealer Play Guy is your only source of income. I mean, I could see that.
I mean, that would be really cool. It feels like a long way off from now, but we'll see what we can do. And yeah, I obviously kind of go back to it. We'll go on record with this that, when we were at the Schaumburg Honda grand opening, you pulled me aside and, you looked me in the eyes and said, don't give up, basically. Like, you have the talent to do it. I know talent when I see it. You got to keep going. And so, those words have stuck with me too. So I appreciate that.
That's super cool.
I'm here whenever you need anything.
I'm not too good at too many things, but I am blessed with the ability to identify talent in people. And when you were telling me, I don't know if I'm going to stick with it, I was like, I don't know this kid, but I somehow have to convince him right now, bro, stick with it. So,
and you did.
I'm grateful that I could even be a small part of your journey, dude, for real. So that's cool, man. Well, very good. So if anybody out there is crazy enough that likes this podcast, please subscribe, download, share with your friends. Again, post it in the bathroom, at the rest stop. We don't care. Just get it out there. Your podcast, would you please shout that real quick?
Driving Relationships Podcast is ours. YouTube and Spotify. We got to do a better job this year. I keep telling Zach and Logan, we got to do a better job or I'm going to start my own. Maybe I start my own. Is this the announcement? The Dealer Play Podcast is starting soon.
Wait, the GOAT Dealer Play. I'm just talking out loud here. I'm spitballing.
Should we cross-post it? I don't know.
Dude, he knows the front. I know the back. I mean, I see something here. And then we .com and it's open.
Wow. I love it.
We better get to work.
We better get to work.
We're too smart. Hey, dude, thank you so much for being on, for real. I love you, brother. It's always fun talking to you. I hope we get to talk more, but thank you very much. And everybody else out there, I know Austin's hard to look at, but thanks for watching us this whole time. All right. We'll see you next time, guys. Thanks, Austin.
See ya.
Later, bro.
Want to thank you for tuning in today. Want to thank our sponsor, Credit Saint. Are you tired of being held back by bad credit? With Credit Saint, you can take control of your financial future and unlock the doors to way better opportunities. Join the community of satisfied customers. They've got over 14,000 five-star reviews on Google, which, by the way, you can't fake that. Experience the personalized credit repair services that help you rebuild your credit score and achieve your dreams. Call 855-279-6799. That is 855-279-6799. Credit Saint will get you on the road to financial freedom today. You deserve it. You owe it to yourself. Do that. Credit Saint, thank you very much for sponsoring this podcast. I'd also like to thank our guest today. I do my best to bring on entertaining and interesting people in the automotive space and present them to you in a manner that you may not otherwise see. If you like this podcast, and I'm sure you do, please like, share, follow, subscribe. Make a post-it and put it on the bathroom at the rest stop. I don't really care how you get it out there, but get this podcast out there. You can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and YouTube, any place where you get your podcasts. In all seriousness, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy the show.